You said when a woman get into the marriage, they get over that hump, commitment, then they get entitled. What do you mean by entitled?
You mind?
Because
You
one
want it.
would say though,
That's
if the
why
man
women
is
use.
communicating,
That's why women use a ring in order to shame other women. Oh, I'm married. I got my man. Where you at? So we
but
won.
I
We
would
won.
argue against that. I know a lot of women, and in fact, my wife is one of them. I communicated what to expect. I communicated the things I was able to offer her in a marriage, and the goals we were able to reach, and the milestones we was able to reach, and the end game. And so long as I've held up to it, and she hold me to it, she's justified to be entitled to that. I think it all depends on specifically what you a woman feels she's entitled to. If a man say, "Hey, look, I'm going to give you this," and in marriage, there's nothing wrong with her being entitled to those things that he promised her.
I think you're arguing the wrong point. And I also think you're doing it from a projecting standpoint because you seem to have a very much so high level of self awareness and emotional intelligence, and you seem to know how to communicate very thoroughly. However, you are an anomaly, my brother. You don't speak for the masses of people who are in intersocializing with other women. You don't speak for the masses of people who
I
are
think it's just the circle you run in.
listen to what I'm saying. A lot of times when you hear women discuss relationships as a woman, right? The first thing we say is, I gave you everything. I did all of this work for nothing. It was a waste of my time. Versus the woman who goes and actually gets married. When a woman has been with a man for umpteen long periods of time, her response to that relationship afterwards is usually a defeated mentality. It's usually a defeatist mentality because why did I sit there and waste all them years with you? I will never do that again. I will never go that long with a man again. If and we start giving ultimatums in our conversation and dating. If he gotta wait longer than 3 years to put a ring on it, I'm leaving. If he gotta do this longer than such and such time, then we not gonna be together. This is how women talk. So once she gets the ring, I'm not saying she's not entitled to it. What I'm saying is that inflated ego, it goes higher. It's not towards her man. It's using you as the trophy to say, I won, look at my prize. So I don't have to show up the way that you think I have to show up because if I was a hoe, he just proved that it don't matter. If I was a terrible person as a friend, he just proved it don't matter. If I was never accountable, he just proved it don't matter. All of what you talking about no longer matters because now I got a ring. So when she's saying she's tired, she's sick of the relationship, which is why a lot of women now are saying, "Oh, we're single, married moms, or whatever that is," right? And they leave because we know women leave more than men. What I'm saying is the leaving part is due to her overextending herself, her constantly giving, 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 never sitting back to see what he actually needs because she showed up with her representative majority of the time. We've been faking the funk for a long time. We fake it in sex. We fake it in friendships. A lot of women can maintain a friendship for a very long time, and she secretly hates her friends. We
What?
always show it with our representative. Just because you ended up marrying this woman does not mean that she didn't show it with her representative.
Well, look, let me apologize for not making myself clear. I went through a personality change some months back, and I changed the way I approach this kind of conversation. So, what I started to do instead of being a statistical person to get my, instead of getting my resource in theories and facts from general statistics, I started cutting off the circle of people I hang around, and I started hanging around people that was similar to myself. And what the changes that I started to see that significantly these problems and these issues that you were stating had a lot to do with the people that I was hanging around. Changed my circle. I started seeing men who were upfront and upright, and what I wouldn't call it an anomaly. Before I would call it an anomaly, but once I started hanging around the correct circle that complimented me, it started to seem like the norm, and the problems you started stating started to seem like the exception. So, for the sake of conversation, and if we can keep the conversation moving, I, I would recommend you to just hang around a circle of women that you know, actually have proven and successful relationships, you might get a different perspective out of it. And it won't be this just you won't be settled in or sold on every time a woman get out of a marriage, it's the same thing or same tendency or same excuse. Oh my bad. Somebody else can talk now.
You can't expect me to take you seriously.
I'm sorry, Jay. Were you about to say something?
Yeah, it was on Jay next.
Oh, it's on me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna respond to that.
Okay. I mean, going specifically on the video, I mean, I think it's about perspective. I think it's about the people involved. Why are they, why are these long-term relationships hard to come by? It's the pressure that we put on ourselves when we're looking for these relationships. Before I get into that, I want to, speak to something Paradise was saying in terms of you picking the same person that is not conducive for a long-term relationship. I think a lot of us have to get out of our own way or identify why we are dating the same people with literally different names. You know what I'm saying? You have to identify that first, or you are going to have a bad dating life, and you'll probably never find a successful marriage that way. And I know with me personally, that happened to me. I was dating the same people, but it was something with me. Uh, I was so set on finding people that I could fix that it took the pressure off of what I had going on. So as long as I'm building this person up and pulling them up, I don't have to address what I need to do and what my goals are. And there's nobody holding me accountable. You know what I'm saying? The spotlight is off me. It's like, okay, well, we're working on you now. And after you deal with a number of those relationships, where you're trying to correct somebody that is just hell bent on surviving and not living, I'm planning for 10 years ahead. You trying to get through the week. I had to address that with myself. Well, I got to stop dating these people, and then I started dating people that were more on my level or even, a step above. And it was a rude awakening. It was a rude awakening in that it felt different to have somebody just say, we're going out of town this weekend. Have your bags packed. We're going to the beach for the weekend. You know what I mean? Like I was always used to building somebody up so much that there was really no time to enjoy the relationship and bond. Everything was a task. But in terms of the actual video, I think it's your perspective. Like I had a female friend have a female friend who, she had her stuff together, had a good job, had a house. Dude came into her life, and at first he was great, but slowly he started just disintegrating, to the point where, her house got foreclosed on. And what I was trying, and she still was willing to stay with him. But from his perspective, what I believe is that he couldn't come back to her because he knew that she would never look at him the way she wants. She would never look at him the way the way she once did. You know what I mean? Like with men, it's pride, it's respect. It's like I can't go back into that because she'll never respect me the way she once did because of what I put her through or because of the circumstances that I've caused. He came into she had a balanced life, decent job, house. And to him, he feels like he destroyed that. And after all that, she was still willing to stay with him. But I'm telling her, like, it's an ego thing. If we don't feel respected, we would rather go to someone new who's going to look at us with that respect that we want rather than to stay with somebody who saw us just collapse, even if they're willing to endure and stay. It's ego. So Why is it hard, to answer the question? Because some people are not willing to put into work to build themselves back up after they fail, or after they are seen a certain way by somebody. They feel that they can't come back from that.